Hello everybody, Average Gamer here, and welcome to a quick breakdown. So as of Monday, we're going to be doing our next Sandbox for Supreme Ruler Ultimate, and obviously we're doing it as a roleplay. So we're going to roleplay as a country, a elected leader with a set mandate, or a set idea in mind. So remember, this is not a military campaign or playthrough. Specifically, this is not an economic playthrough. This is not a specific playthrough of anything. We're going to be role playing. We're playing as that country or as that specific leader. That leader has a specific thing in mind to do. So there will be both a military, obviously, chemical, military, economical, diplomatic, everything we kind of mixed into one, right? So yes, there may be wars in some of these campaigns. There may not be. There'll be some economic stuff, yes. There'll be diplomacy, trade, building of units, research, you name it. Everything should be in this playthrough. If I don't play as, obviously, if I don't play as the country you want, guarantee you I'll probably play with it. They'll play it in another one in the future. So anyways, so what's our next country? Well, you'll find it on Monday, but what I wanted to do in this video was tell you guys what countries I narrowed it down to, and what the let's say what the role play behind each country is going to be. So I'm going to start off with what I think is probably the biggest one of all of them, if not close to Australia. So in Australia, we're going to play and role play as the newly elected conservative leader. Now, this conservative leader was voted on the premise of military buildup and personal defense against the growing Chinese threat. Kind of sounds like Donald Trump, eh? Except he's in Australia. He was voted in with a mandate of military buildup and, we'll say, Australian interests in the South Pacific and Southeast Asia. Specifically, we've got East Timor, New Guinea, a couple other islands where people have looked at Australia, or Australia has looked out upon the world and has seen these islands near them and has sit back and went, we controlled this at one time, and now we do not. Or, this territory, this area should be under our control because of the Chinese threat coming to us. So, with that in mind, that is where we're going to be sitting. We're playing as this leader in Australia that's been voted in to grow the effect or the impact of the Australian way of life, and kind of grow and make everyone around us have the affinity of looking up to us for protection, looking to us for protection, reaching out for the hand of the kangaroo, and creating the empire of the kangaroo. The next country, also in the Pacific, is Japan. So Japan will be more of a, different type of conservative leader, because they're very conservative in Japan, but a different type of conservative. There, it's all about righting the economy. So the leader has been brought in place to re-rate bring the economy into heel, kind of bring things into control a little bit. Get it so that they're no longer having population problems. Right now, I believe their birth rate is almost stagnant in Japan, if I'm not mistaken, or close to it. Like in Canada and the US, if it wasn't for people moving there. So, the whole thing there is going to be getting people to come into the country, getting people jobs, stabilizing things. Also, at the same time, dealing with the threat of places like North Korea and China. So there's the whole thing of, we still need to have a good ready military on standby at any given time, because issues with North Korea could occur and issues with China could occur. And at the same time, we need to worry about at home as well. But we're also so close to these two territories that we are a primary target in the war. So we have to be careful. So that'll be Japan. The next one is it's one of three. It's going to be Norway, Finland, or Sweden. Now, this one's going to be a little bit more militant. So what's going to happen here is, of the three, one of them basically wants to grow in power. They want to re-amalgamate. And actually Denmark, sorry. Norway, Sweden, Finland, or Denmark. So way back in the day, minus Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, sorry, were all actually combined under one king. From I think it was the Danish king. I'm trying to remember what the actual term for it is, but it's escaped me at the moment. And over time, obviously, that fell apart, and Sweden and Norway got their independence from the king and all that stuff, and it all kind of went away and all that. Well, Sweden still technically had its own king. It's just that basically I think it was just like a family relative or whatever. But I digress. So, of one of these countries, our goal is to reunite. Well, we're going to pretend Finland was involved in it, but as Norway, Sweden, Finland, or Denmark, one of those four, is to reunite all of them, all of Scandinavia, under the Viking flag, under the Nordic flag, under the Northern Lights flag, and create one nation, the Scandinavian Empire, or even just have everyone once again under the yoke of one leader, under the control of one leader, yet autonomous to a point. So basically, 3 puppets, 1 master. As it was back in the day. I think even at one point Sweden's king actually controlled Denmark and Norway. Then I think at one point Norway's king controlled Sweden and Denmark. So I think it really spun around a lot, but it was always one king for the 3 countries, though they were all autonomous, but they weren't. I just learned this from some history documentary I just watched. So that one kind of popped in my head, and someone commented about Sweden and taking over some stuff. The next one is playing as Uruguay. Now, as Uruguay, you're in a bit. We're going to play as a leader that who's come into power, and whose whole point is to build up a system of not just exports. Now, Uruguay is a major country that basically exports tons of beef. I mean, like, retarded amounts of beef. Canada is one of those countries that get Canada, England, France, Germany, the US import a ton of Uruguayan beef. I was recently watching a thing on, I think it was Anthony Bourdain went down there, and you can go into a place, no word of a lie, and you basically get a bucket, and it's like $5, and they just fill the bucket up with the most amazing beef, and just put it in the bucket. Once the bucket's full, $5. It's amazing. But anyway, so Uruguay is another country we're going to play as, and the whole point there is to wean ourselves off of that exporting of all this agriculture, and kind of build up our other industries. So the whole thing there will be building up of other industries, also building up our own little defense, because Argentina and Brazil are having a bit of a power struggle, I want to say. Or not even a power struggle, but just a kind of a power tug within South America itself. Brazil over the last couple of years has slipped a little bit, and Argentina's kind of stepped up. But since the 70s and 80s, Argentina's been going up, and so has Brazil in overall influential power in that sphere, in that little sphere of influential area. The next one is in Africa, and it's going to be Madagascar. Now, in Madagascar, what we're going to be playing as, I think it's a non-doc. I think it's a dictatorship in Madagascar. I'd have to double check, but either way. So in Madagascar, we have the leader here that's come into power, and our mandate, our personal mandate, the one that we've said we are going to do there, is we're going to usurp Egypt and South America as the primary benefactors in Africa. So South Africa is a major player on the overall field of Africa. It's a first world country. It has major influences in Europe and North America, for sure. It has its problems with apartheid and all that stuff in the past, but it's cleaned itself up quite a bit, and is very, very influential and very, very powerful, and is growing exponentially. Egypt, same thing. Suez Canal, they've fought wars, they're very influential, they have oil. they're in a very, very strategic location in the northeast, and they have ties, really big ties with, some other Arabic countries within the Middle East itself. So that's the other, what we'll call, superpower of Africa. Our plan as Madagascar is to actually usurp both those countries, become that military power, slowly ally ourselves with everybody around Africa, and create ourselves a little mini African Union. Get involved in little wars here and there. If we're probably going to go to war with a few countries ourselves and invade them. We may not puppet them. We may not do much except maybe just replace their government. But over time, we will become the great, powerful Madagascar that might even be able to kind of push our way onto the international scene. And, not give some of the bigger countries a run for the money, but at least, say, hey, we're Madagascar, we're here to stay. And last but not least, the last country, one of the other big ones, Iran. So as Iran, you're obviously in a hard spot, right? You have really, really good terms with Russia to a point, but you're not in the best of terms with the United States, obviously. You have horrible relations with your neighbor in Iraq, but Iraq itself, it's fallen apart. It's fallen into pieces. It's the guy next door that's let his house fall apart, and every now and then the dog walks into your backyard and takes a shit. So we're gonna play as a little loudmouth McGee there that I can't think of his name right now with the unibrow. We'll possibly play as him, and our whole plan there is just grow our military, ally ourselves with Russia and China, and remove Israel off the map. Playing as Iran, right? One of the things we also want to do too is remove the American influence out of the Middle East. So we also want to go to war, obviously, and take out Iraq. We also do, now this is the weird part, this is actually historically accurate. We do not like Syria. We do not like Kuwait. We do not like Iraq. We do not like ISIL either. But we are supporting extremists in, I think it's Oman or Yemen. It's Oman. I think it's Oman. We're supporting separatists / extremists in Oman. So with that in mind, we're kind of playing a double-edged sword there, right? We're supporting some, like one or two, Muslim nations. Other ones we are not, because they are friends or bitches of the United States and the West, and therefore they must go. So that doesn't mean we're going to conquer the world. It's just we want to, either replace the governments in power in these nations or take them. In Iraq and Kuwait, we're probably going to want to take them. In ISIS or ISIL, we might just give back the territory that it took from Syria. Syria, we want to obviously replace the leader there. We will possibly puppet, maybe, Kuwait and Lebanon, the smaller two countries. And maybe even puppet Israel. Not wipe it off the map as much as just puppet it and control it. So we can teach it the better way. So those are the different ideas. Those are the different countries we're thinking of. For the moment, for Monday. So today being Wednesday, it's coming out. You got 3 days to comment and say which one of those upon which you prefer. Those are the countries. Make your decision. Make your pick. So leave a comment. Send me a PM as per usual. Mostly comments though. A little bit more better because PMs sometimes don't get to me because they got flagged as spam sometimes. When I say sometimes, I mean often. But with that in mind, thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys on Monday when we play as blank. See you guys then. Bye-bye.